fighting for money, you know what I mean? Like, but, you know, like I'm not gonna let, you know, anything slip through my fingers, while I got limited time left, you know what I mean?
I hear that. And my final question for you is, what does it mean to you personally that you're headlining the first show now that Bellator is on CBS Sports?
It's pretty badass, man. Somebody said to me that you're making history and stuff like that on CBS or whatever. I was like, oh, yeah, that's a good way to think about it. And, you know, we're the main event, and yeah, like, you know, so I just couldn't be happier, you know, like, I think it's great. And, you know, I'm a real fighter, you know, I'm always ready to take big fights. And, you know, like I said, I took this on 3 weeks notice, and, you know, Paul Daley ain't no slouch, you know what I mean? So, I don't want easy fights, you know, like, I'm ready to fight. So, you know, this is what I want. And, we're main event, you put me on TV and stuff like that, and let's do it. Let's do everything, you know?
All right. Best of luck in the fight.
Thank you.
All right, Luis.
Hi. This is your welterweight debut in Bellator against a welter veteran as Paul Daley. How do you feel going into this fight?
I've actually had my last fight was welterweight. But you know, fighting welterweight is pretty sweet, you know, because I only cut a few pounds, and you know, I feel strong, and I'm not scared of big guys or nothing like that. I'm taller than him, you know what I mean? So you know, he's big, but you know, I'm pretty good taking hard shots, and you know, I'm pretty good at ducking shots, and you know, I train with big guys, and I feel good, you know, like I've been running, you know, my ass off, and especially you know, when I don't cut that much weight, I can still, you know, train this week. So I've been running a little bit still on the treadmill and stuff over here. You know, I get to have a little fruit and stuff this last week, and say, you know, lightweight's rough, man. Like, you know, I'd rather not cut that much weight. You know, like I guess, you know, I could do it. Guys definitely do it for my size, but I'm just kind of tall. I'm like skin and bone, so I'd rather just, you know, there's not much for me to lose. You know what I mean? Like water or not, you know, I'd rather just fight welterweight, and you know, so it's great. And like, you know, like I said, I want hard fights. You know, like so. You know, I got full confidence in myself, especially if I had full camp, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, there's nothing you could do about it, you know what I mean? But, you know, I feel real good anyway. So like I said, I think I got one of my best runs for, you know, a 3 mile run. Like I got like, you know, 19 minutes, 40 seconds or something like that. And that's pretty good for, you know, I can't remember doing too much better than that. You know, long camp or not, you know, usually I do like 5 miles at a pace like that or something, but you know, that's pretty good anyway.
All right, we'll take one final question here from Santiago.
Good afternoon, Derek. How are you doing?
Good, brother. How you doing?
I'm fine as well. Thank you for asking. So is this the first time that you are here in Europe?
I've been here, but I never got to fight here. I went to London. I was matched up with MVP a long time ago. That was not the last time, but the time before that, we were matched up, and they sent me out here like 3 months early for a press conference. And, you know, so I just got to enjoy London or whatever. You know, there was no quarantine, so I got to run around there and stuff. It's pretty cool. And, yeah, now, I mean, so I'm in Italy now, and fight's going to happen this time. So that's great. And, you know, I don't get to see anything, but I get to say I fought in Italy.
You've been fighting for 10 years now, but not that long ago, you moved up a weight class to welterweight. Did you close the book on lightweight for now?
I don't know. I was super skinny. Like before they offered me this fight, I was super skinny. Like definitely could have made lightweight. And I was thinking about it. You know, like I was coming off. I wasn't even training that much. I was like, you know, I was gonna do it. I was about to tell Rich, the matchmaker over there. You know, like, yeah, I want something like, you know, maybe 3 months out, my rib was still broken or something. You know, and I was like, I want something like 3 months out. You know, like a top lightweight probably, because I was like 75. I'm like 75 right now. You know, not even trying. And, you know, and then they just offered me this fight, you know, like 3 weeks notice. And I was like, all right, let's do that. That sounds good. Cause I like to fight welterweight. It's pretty good. And so, you know, I just kind of tried to start eating a little bit more. And, you know, it was actually rough for me. Like I used to be able to freaking eat like so much when I was younger, but now it was a little tougher, but my metabolism kicked right in after a couple of weeks. And so, you know, I put on a little weight. I walk around about 180 now, you know what I mean? And, you know, so, yeah, no, I don't know. I'll probably do some more lightweight fights or something. You know, I just want big fights. So wherever I can get a title real soon, and then I'll move on from there. Cause I just got my eyes on a belt, cause I know I'm a really good fighter and, I can compete with anybody. So I just want to do that with the top guys and then move on to other top guys,
All right. Thanks, Derek. Appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the week.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Next up, we have Norbert Novenyi Jr. joining us. All right, we are now being joined by Norbert Novenyi Jr. We will field a few questions from within the room once again before opening up to the media. Please remember to click the raise hand function if you have a question.
So Norbert, it's fight week here in Milan, Bellator 247. Just tell us how you're feeling at the moment.
Yeah, man, I just can't wait. Put so much work into it, and obviously I haven't fought in a year. So now I just want to get back in there. But as I said, that 1 year I worked so hard, especially the last few months since the lockdown. I've been putting mad work in, 10, 11 hours at the gym. And now I just can't wait to showcase my skills.
Good stuff. And you're 5-0 now in your career, 3-0 since you joined Bellator. How do you plan to keep that perfect record intact? And does it add a certain kind of added pressure?
I think there's always a pressure, wherever, even if you've got a loss or if you're unbeaten. I feel like it will just motivate me even more to train harder, work harder, so I can keep that oath. Yeah. And
speaking of that winning record, you got a great win last time out against Will Fleury in Dublin. What does another win do for you and your standing within the middleweight division?
I just want to show people my skills because I feel like I'm not underrated because I get to fight co-main event at 20, so I'm not underrated. But I feel like people still don't understand the level I'm on. And I mean, look, I've got a good relationship with Will. I still speak to him because we used to train together. But look at what he did this weekend. Like, he just went through someone, literally. He had a great performance. And look at how well I did against him. I think that just shows my levels.
All right, we will now turn this over to the media. Steve Jewin.
Thank you. And my first question for Mr. Novenyi is, speaking of Will Fleury and that previous card, that was headlined by 3 middleweight bouts, and here you are in the co-main event having a middleweight bout. What message are you looking to send to the entire middleweight division?
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I don't care about anyone else. I just want to know that, like, people they'll get the message. If I put a performance, they will get the message. Like last time, when someone puts on a performance, people will get the message. So I'm not trying to send any message. Like, I just do myself, and my performance should send them a message. I don't know, whatever message they want to get, they will get it. You know, they can interpret it how they want it, but it's my performance that will send a message. It's not me.
You also mentioned the lockdown that you've been going through there, and we've all been going through around the world. So how much has that changed your training, and how have you been able to train as much as you would like?
Yeah, it was, in a way, to be fair, I'm not going to lie, I was quite happy with the lockdown in a way, because once I kind of got to get away from people and from daily life, so it was good. Also, I could bond with my little brother, little sister. I could train them, so it was quite nice. Also, it was more of a personal improvement during that time as a person, as a man. I feel like I put a lot of effort into myself, as in like improving myself as a person. But yeah, training wise, I was doing mad miles. Like, I would do let's say I do a 10K run, and then as soon as I'm done, I'm on my way to do a 60K bike ride, something like that. And I would just smashing my body up. And then when professional athletes could start training, but we still had to social distance. A good friend of mine actually let me, and actually Mike Shipman and Aruna, they're all Bellator guys. He let us train with him in the gym, obviously with the right measurements. So we were doing a lot of CrossFit. So yeah, as I said, like during lockdown, I was just smashing my body and just trying to improve myself as a man, not only as a fighter.
All right, we look forward to seeing those improvements at Bellator 247. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Lewis.
As an undefeated fighter coming off your first decision win after submitting all of your past opponents, how much do you feel you still have to learn, if that's the case?
You always have to learn. It's mixed martial arts, and that's why it's so beautiful, because you can always learn. You can be the greatest master of all combat sports, and you will still learn something. I feel like in life you learn a lot of things, and that's kind of I find that's one of the meaning of life, to learn and to be a better man, better fighter, whatever you want to be. You need to learn, and you need to have an open mind. So I've got a lot of things to learn, especially in fighting as well. Like, I've got such a long way to go still. So I'm just open-minded and I'm just listening to my coaches, and I'm just excited to learn new stuff in life and in fighting.
How different are you feeling this fight week?
Not that different, to be honest with you. As I said, I haven't fought in a year, so I'm super excited. I can't wait to. I worked so hard. I worked so hard. So I really do want to put on a great performance, especially because I'm co-main event. So I'm just super excited.
All right. Thank you, Norbert. Appreciate the time. Good luck the rest of the week.
Thank you.
Oh, actually, hold on one second. We have one more question here. Go ahead, Santiago.
Thank you, Norbert, for the time. Is MMA picking up in Hungary right now?
Yeah, I feel like it is. I'm not gonna lie. There are two of us always signed to Bellator. Like 2 Hungarians. We're like the first Hungarians to be signed to these big organizations. So this is massive, and we getting we kind of get eyes on us and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, because I live in England and I don't really speak in Hungarian when I do interviews and stuff like that, I kind of feel like the Hungarian media is not really paying enough attention to me, but I don't mind. Like I always say that when I'm in Hungary or whatever, I always say that I don't care about just one country. You know, I want to be, you know, it's not that I want to be famous, but if I get to become a champion and famous, then I want the whole world to know about me. So if the whole world picks up on me, Hungary is part of the whole world, so they will pick up on me as well. So yeah, you know, I'm just gonna try my best to be out there. You get what I mean?
Good luck on fight night, sir.
Thank you.
Gareth?
Hi, Norbert.
Hi.
Hi, Norbert. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Very good, thank you. I was slightly concerned when you said you were smashing yourself in lockdown, yeah? Were there times when you actually had to slow down from doing it because you had so much time on your hands?
Yeah, listen, I posted on Instagram. Yeah, I feel like the only time someone said it to me that the only time you really feel alive when close to death. So yeah, the only time I kind of slowed down in that time when I couldn't walk. But yeah, wow. You know, I'm young, I'm crazy, I'm a bit crazy in that way. You know, my body feels invincible. Well, actually, it doesn't feel invincible, but you get what I mean. I'm still young. I still think that everything's ahead of me. So, but like I said, I love it. Like this is like I love pushing my body to the limits. I'm not gonna lie. That's why I like fighting as well. Because how many other sports can be like? And that's why I go into CrossFit and all these, like when you can push your body like no one else does, and you know you're aching and like you want to give up, but you still keep going. That's like, to me, that's beautiful, and that's why I love it.
Do you what did you make of the weekend and the middleweight main event?
Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I just want Shipman to get those two guys. You know, I mean, he deserves it, and he's an absolute beast. He had a great performance this week, and I feel, and you know, he needed that as well. So I just want him. I don't even worry about them. I feel like Shipman's gonna go there first, and I want him to go there first. It wasn't as great of a fight as I thought it was going to be, you know, but, you know, it's a fight. They're both tough guys. It is what it is. I'm not going to lie. I just want Shipman to get his hands on them.
Because obviously, what are you, 4-0 at the moment, yeah?
Yeah.
You know, you're probably, you know, you've been out for a year, but you're probably a year and a half, 5-6 fights away from fighting those guys as well. Who would you most like to fight out of? Obviously, you're not going to fight Shipman. Who would you most like to fight out of? Whose style suits you best? The Edwards, Van Steenis, Salter, Lima, Mousasi, Machida. You know, obviously, you might not get those last 3 yet, but who would you?
This is actually, I'm not even going to lie. This is mad, you know. Like, I'm turning, like, you know, oh, mate, because you just how you mentioned, like, the possibility of me fighting these guys, like, this is sick. You know, a couple of years ago, I was still watching the highlight videos. Now I'm in talks of fighting now. This is mad. But yeah, and that's like Machida and Mousasi are legends, so that would be an honor for me to fight them. But yeah, as I said, I'm not really looking into, you know, when Bellator gives me the names and my coaches agree with it or whatever, I look into the guy. Like, I'm not going to look ahead at the moment. All I know, I will get a title. Whoever it is, I will have to beat them up. But yeah, my eyes on the title, not the person.
And just talk to us a little bit about your opponent on Saturday night. What are the dangers you face in this fight?
Listen, he's got a decent striking. He's going to come forwards. And, you know, these kind of guys have got that Algerian, Moroccan kickboxing style, you know, quite aggressive. So there's that danger that he can catch you out with a punch or a kick, whatever. But there's always that danger. I feel like if I'm myself and I do everything how I have to do it, then I can put a clinical performance. And that's, you know, I'm a perfectionist. So even my last fight against Will, I did well, but I feel like I've made a bit of a meal out of it. So this summer, I wanna have a clinical performance. I want everything to be just right. But if I'm myself, and if I do what I know and everyone who knows me knows I can do, then it's just gonna be a spectacular performance. But yeah, that's the if I'm, sorry. You know, sorry, my bad. But these mistakes are, you know, I can make a mistake and then he can capitalize on them, but that can happen with everyone. So I just have to be, as I said, clinical with everything.
Great. Thank you very much. Cheers, bud.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again, Norbert. Appreciate the time and good luck the rest of the week.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll be joined shortly by Kate Jackson. All right, we are now being joined by Kate Jackson. Once again, we will field a few questions from within the room before opening up to the media.
Kate, it's fight week here in Milan. Just tell us how you're feeling.
Really excited for the opportunity because I wasn't really sure anything was going to happen in Europe this year. So it's really nice to be able to fight again.
And it's been a long time coming for you. You last fought in December, as you've just alluded to. How has that break been for you? What have you sort of used it for?
I've always been working on improving my game. The UK lockdown was a little bit inconvenient there, but I've had sort of a small group of training partners. So yeah, I've still been able to train through it. And
just finally from me, your last fight was, of course, a title challenge against Ilias Bulaid.a.m. What did you learn from that bout, having gone the distance with her in December?
Going the distance for me was a big deal, purely because I haven't done a 5-round fight before. So just getting through that, feeling okay, and holding up mentally with fighting in Hawaii, fighting in front of a home crowd, being the other side of the world, all of that, and it didn't really faze me, and the sort of mental resilience there was something really good to take away from it.
Gareth?
Hi, Kate. How are you?
Hi.
Yeah, you obviously you mentioned December. You were incredibly resilient on the night without you'll know this, without imposing yourself enough to win the fight. How have you gone back and assessed it?
It's hard because it's just the small difference in the ground game is enough that once she was on top, she was able to stay on top. I think maybe I went in there with a sort of mindset of you don't wrestle a wrestler. That might not have been a good move because obviously being on the bottom wasn't the chance of me then reversing position and being on top was not necessarily going to happen. So perhaps I should have tried harder with takedowns, but it's really hard to second guess fights. She was that much better than me, and that's sort of the end result of it, really.
With Denise, it's kind of the other way around, that she probably doesn't want to wrestle with you, I imagine. Do you get that sense? Because obviously her stand-up background.
Obviously, she has got a solid striking background. Noticed that she is maybe a bit more hesitant in her striking against grapplers. So that might help there. But yeah, realistically, I would hope that my ground game is better than hers.
Is this, if you can get hands on her, should this be, I don't want to over-egg this, should this be a simple night's work in Milano?
I hope so. She, in a way, I think her striking is better than Lena's, but in a way, there's sort of the same kickboxing background as my fight last summer. But obviously she has the judo to go with it and the sort of infusion background where they mix the judo with the striking. So I wouldn't underestimate the explosive element to her game, but I think on the floor I'm a more technical grappler.
Final thing from me, you mentioned it in passing just now about how exciting it is, and it's just like a privilege to be actually having a fight and at an event. What did you learn? We've asked a lot of fighters about this. What did you learn about yourself in the 6 months where we were all locked down?
I only really took 5 weeks off properly from contact training. And then sort of had one teammate I was rolling with until the elite legislation for gyms came back into force. I mean, in hindsight, that 5 weeks was fine. 5 weeks off isn't a big deal in the sort of the grand scheme of things. And it was good for recovery, but not knowing how long it was going to be at the time, that was pretty difficult, really, because I don't take much time off for training, and I like being in the gym, I like coaching, I like being with my teammates.
Steve?
Thank you. Kate, it's already been mentioned that your last fight was with Ilias Bulaid, but what hasn't been mentioned yet is that Denise Kielholtz is a kickboxing world champion for Bellator in her own right. So is this like going from the frying pan into the fire, champion to champion?
Not really, because kickboxing, I mean, she's obviously a very good kickboxer. She's got an extensive record and she's beat some really good opponents, but this isn't kickboxing, it's MMA. And I'd like to think that she's wary of my grappling ability, and that will probably change the striking element slightly anyway.
I know you said you expect to be a much better grappler than her on the ground, and with more extensive experience in MMA, that would certainly seem to be the case, but she has shown rapid improvement in that department. Her last two fights were both by submission. So did you watch either of those, and where would you rate her as an overall MMA fighter now?
She's good. She's obviously improving fast, and obviously she's got the judo background, so it's not like she's coming in completely fresh to grappling. But her last submission win was against I think a debut kickboxer. The one before that was good, but I think that her opponent, Christina Williams, maybe not taking anything away from Denise, but it did look like it happened very fast and she possibly froze a little bit. But I mean, I guess I'll find out. We have an opponent in common. Denise's fight from last summer is a previous opponent of mine and a training partner occasionally. In fact, I gave Bridie Tyrell, I gave her her blue belt. So I do have a sort of a rough gauge there, but we'll see. You never really know until you get in there.
All right. Best of luck in the fight, and thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Santiago?
Hello, Kate. Good afternoon from Amsterdam. Are you excited to fight someone who's on a 3-fight winning streak so you can take all that momentum away from her?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's always good. Denise she's got a solid game, but I think she's also new to the sport, so I'd like to hope I have a bit more experience there.
And the last thing for me, you have been in the cage with some of the best women in the world. Do you think that experience can help you get this fight to a good result?
I think so, yes. There's obviously she's got a very extensive kickboxing background, so it's not like she's any stranger to competing at high level. So I guess we'll see, really. But for MMA, then yeah, I'm definitely more experienced.
Luis?
Hi, from MMA Pit. You are 3-2 in Bellator. You have very interesting career fighting the best of the best, being the last Bellator title contender and 2 semifinalists. What can you tell us about your career?
I mean, I came in here having a lot of fights on the regional scene, and really with Bellator, it's great to have the sort of this platform and the ability to fight good opponents and know that they have a pool of women they can pull from to match me, and that once I'm matched, usually the fight goes ahead because I spent a very long time sort of desperately trying to find UK and European opponents when there weren't very many around.
All right. Thank you very much for the time, Kate. Good luck the rest of the week.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Brian Moore. We are now being joined by Brian Moore. Once again, we will field a few questions from within the room before opening it up to media. Please remember to click the raise hand function if you have a question.
Brian, it's been nearly 18 months since you last stepped into the cage. How excited are you to get back out there?
Yeah, this has been a long time coming, and the improvements I've made in these 18 months have been insane. So I can't wait to show that. I've put 3 camps in this space, so I'm ready to be let loose now at this stage.
And you're on the main card now on Thursday night.
Yeah.
What message have you got for people that will be tuning in back home?
Yeah, it's a big deal both for at home and in the States. It's going to be the first fight on CBS Sports in the US, and obviously for my Irish fans to be able to see my fight live is tremendous too. So, you know, to be on the main card, which is what I deserve, I feel at this stage, it's awesome, and this fight will be a statement fight, and I'm just glad more people will get to see it.
Since joining Bellator, you've kind of alternated between wins and losses.
Yeah.
What have you been working on during this sort of extended break to ensure that you get back-to-back victories for the first time?
Yeah, look, I've been working on everything, as I always do. I've built my own gym so I can do even more hours than normal. But if you look at my losses in Bellator, every single time I've been given a camp, I've destroyed whoever they've put in front of me. It's because I have the balls to step up on short notice against high-level opponents, and the other guys in the division don't. That's why I'm probably juggling wins and losses. But my motto has been anytime, anywhere, and anybody at that as well. So get a win streak going.
Steve?
All right. Thank you, Brian, for the time. And you mentioned that you've gone win-loss, and obviously that is because you've been facing high-level opponents. But how important is it to you to get some consistency and start stringing these wins together?
It's absolutely paramount. If I want to become the 135-pound world champion, put a streak together. I got to put wins, in a row. Plan on doing. We had 2 high-level top 5s not accept this fight tonight. That's why I had to move back up to 145. But I don't care who it is. I'm going to put them away early, and you'll see that. But yeah, I'm focused on the task at hand.
All right. Thank you, and good luck in the fight.
Thank you.
Afternoon,
Gareth?
Brian. Yes, sorry. Yes, afternoon, Brian. Gareth A. Davis here. Brian, it's still Simon.a.m, yeah?
Yes.
What can you tell us about him as your opponent for this fight?
Yeah, I've done my research. He's scrappy. He's a mixed bag. You look at some of his fights versus others, you don't know what he's going to come out with, and that's fine because I'm well rounded, and now I can focus on me. But he does have tendencies, and old habits die hard, and he'll slip tomorrow night, and I'll capitalize. But with this one, Garrett, I had so many different opponents and opponent changes that a few weeks back I just said, right, fuck them. I'm focusing on me here, and I can't wait to put it on him.
At the beginning of the year, you were calling out, or you wanted to avenge defeat, if you like, to people like Ricky Bandejas, Patrick Mix was you guys were trading off. You were going to fight, like you say, the big name guys in the division. You're so marketable with them anyway. You're chasing them. So even though we are likely not to see masses of European events towards the end of the year, will there be a shout out from you, a call out from you at the end of this fight on Thursday night?
Garrett, I've called out pretty much all of the top 5s, all top 10s. I've even DM'd them on Instagram to try and get a fight, and they don't want it. I'm fighting here tomorrow. I've given them the date, I've given them the location, and they're not here. So I don't know, should I be calling these guys out because it's falling on deaf ears? All I can do is fight the man that's in front of me and just keep racking up those wins. And I'm gonna show another fantastic finish tomorrow, another highlight finish, and Bellator won't be able to ignore that. And they're going to have to get one of these guys to step up, finally.
You mentioned it just now, final one for me. You mentioned it just now that you're so fearless to fight anyone that you do put yourself in jeopardy at times. I know there's that thing about being ready in this sport, and you probably are always ready, but there's a slight difference in having a long camp to train for someone. Is there any way sometimes where you think, even because you're so keen, you're almost your own worst enemy, and that you shouldn't be taking all these fights at short notice? I know that's a difficult question, but it's one that occurred to me.
Yeah, I understand exactly your point, and I have asked myself these questions too, but I'm a fighter, and a fighter is meant to stand up and fight whenever, and that's just been my outlook on it. You know, I fought Daniel Weichel on incredibly short notice when no one else in the world would fight him. I fought AJ McKee after pulling out of a fight with illness, and I still got back in because I knew it was a big fight, and I knew I was doing the right thing and trying to help Bellator and help Irish MMA. But any of these guys that when I've been given a camp, Garrett, I've destroyed these guys. Even my loss to Noad Lahat, that was the easiest fight of my career until these guys gave up on me. I had my breaks, but I'll probably keep going with my career with the anybody, anytime, anywhere attitude, and I still think that it'll bring me a belt.
Great answer, mate. Thanks very much. Best of luck.
Thank you, Garrett.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take one or two more. Jake Jones.
You're right, Brian. Yeah, Jake Jones here, mate. So to further Gareth's question about who's next for you, I noticed a few months back you and Leandro Higo seemed to agree to fight each other on Instagram. You had some social media exchanges. Now, he said he'd be up for doing that in Dublin. Is that still something you'd be interested in?
Again, Jake, I'll fight any of these guys. You guys know that. I know that. They know that. I gave my location. I gave my date. These guys knew where I was going to be. They had their opportunity. A lot of them got asked, and a lot of them said no. There's no one standing here from the 135-pound division. So all these fights are fights I want, but whether these guys will agree on their end, I'm not sure. I just have to fight whoever's in front of me, you know what I mean? But I do think with the performance that I'm going to put on Thursday night, they're going to give me someone very, very close to the top of the division. Right now, I'm ready to take on the champ if necessary. You know what I mean? I'd love that fight. I have great respect for Juan. He's one of the very few in the division I do have respect for. But we'll see. We'll see.
Absolutely. And so, would you prefer? So, you agreed with Leandro Higo that you guys would like to fight, but then obviously in the past, Ricky said he would like to fight with you as well. He's coming off his loss. Is there any preference to who you would want if you could pick one person?
Sergio Pettis. That's who I'd like. He's going for the belt right now, and he's going for the belt, and he has a title shot based on a decision. He eked out a decision. I think you should be getting a title shot based on a clean kill, a really good high level performance, and I just thought he'd done barely enough to get past that line. I like that fight, but look, I want to fight them all, so whoever.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for your time, mate.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Brian. Good luck the rest of the week.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll have Chris Duncan. All right, we are now being joined by Chris Duncan. We will field a few questions from within the room once again, and then we'll open it up to the media. Please remember to click the raise hand function if you have a question.
Chris, you're coming into this fight with a 6-0 professional record. What do you need to do to extend that to 7?
I don't think I need to focus too much on my opponent as such. All the preparation that I've put in the last couple of months, since February, since lockdown, it's been like a massive training camp for myself. So if I focus on how well I perform and just get in there and do the things that I can do well, that's going to get me towards that victory.
And you made a dream Bellator debut last time out in Dublin. What did you learn from that fight?
One of the biggest things was the kind of energy I gained from the crowd, because I'm used to fighting in, obviously I've not been fighting on the world stage, but the energy from the crowd, and you can use it as your advantage rather than it being a hindrance, if you like. So I really took on all the stress and all the like animosity for it. You know, I was a bit scared for it, so I just took it all on board and just grew in it, and it just felt like home. It felt great.
You mentioned the energy of the crowd. It was a great atmosphere in Dublin. This week will be slightly different, behind closed doors. How will that compare, and how will you have to adjust mentally to the lack of fans?
I think I'm going to have to think about this as more of like, I wouldn't like to say a spar, because a spar is totally different from a fight, but I think it will give me time to think about what's going on in there and be far more in tune with my body, because sometimes the crowd can make you push forward when you don't want to, but because they get you hyped up. But yeah, I think not having a crowd will allow me to hear my own thoughts and stuff.
Steve?
Thank you, Chris. And you're 6-0, as has been mentioned already, and you've got a fantastic finishing record. Every opponent has been a knockout or a submission. So are you expecting to have another performance at that level and finish quickly in this fight?
100%, yeah. I've got 15 minutes to finish this guy. I don't mind if I finish him in the first or the third. The preparation that I've put in and the dedication that I do put into this is I train like a fight, and if anybody's seen me fighting, they know I'm going to go in for the kill. I'll always remember, you know, like going over to Dublin, you know, you get the crowd and stuff, and you're fighting a hometown guy. You don't want to go to the judges' scorecards. So I'm going to be throwing some heat with my hands. I'm going to be throwing some heat with my legs. So don't blink.
Is that heat how you got the nickname The Problem? Were you a problem for your training partners that they couldn't deal with that heat?
Yeah, a little bit. Well, it was actually my manager that gave me the name The Problem, because at the very start of my career, everybody in my area kind of knew who I was, and he really struggled to get me matched. And then obviously you guys came along and swept me up, and I was able to fight Sam Slater. You know, on paper, you know, it was an even match, and I was quite scared about that match as well, because I'd never been on the world stage. So that was kind of like a big step back, and I knew that I could compete at this level. But yeah, not a lot of people want to fight me, and 90% of the people I have a pool like this fight as well. I've had a last-minute replacement, which I'm very fortunate to have. But everybody keeps pulling out because they know that I'm coming for them.
Finally, for me, would you have liked to have been in a higher position on this card, co-main event possibly, or are you comfortable with being in the spot you're at?
Listen, everybody needs to earn their spot. I've always been a big advocate of earning your place, and you know, regardless of where I am on the card, people will tune in because my fighting style is full force. So I don't really mind where I am on the card. And after this performance, hopefully, maybe Bellator will put me higher up the card. But at the end of it, people are going to call me the employee of the month, because I'm just going to blitz this guy out and then hopefully get another one in and just keep fighting, because Bellator's my boss at the end of the day, and they tell me what to do and I'll do it, and who to fight, and I'll fight them.
Gareth?
Yes, good afternoon, brother. How are you?
Good, thanks. How's yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Now, I want to do a little bit of history with you here, right? And maybe not everyone on the call will know this, but I know you will, because I want to go back and I think you've got a fantastic aura about you as a fighter and in the way you fight, and you use that as well very powerfully. A lot of people on this call may not know that you're from Stirling, and of course, 700 odd years ago, it was where William Wallace defeated the English, yeah?
Yes, that's why my tattoo, every man dies, but not every man lives.
I want to ask you, Chris, where you feel in yourself where your desire and ability to be like a gladiator, you think like a fighting athlete, and yet, you've got a gladiator's mindset. Where does it all come from in you?
I think the gladiator mindset, or the kind of the mentality that I have, is bred into me. I've had this kind of mindset since I've been at school, and it kind of got me in bother at school. And I don't like confrontation in the sense that I would never go out of my way to be intimidating or hurt somebody, but I thrive in that area. So if there's a spotlight on me and everybody's watching, I'm going to perform. And things like the passing of my mother and stuff like that really forced me to go and set out for my dreams and really push forward for these things.
Did you know that you were excelling at other sports? Like rugby's a big sport in the area as well. There have been some great rugby players from the area. Did you ever take up rugby or play any rugby and have that kind of physical stuff as well?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I played rugby at a very young age. And to be totally honest, because I lived a little bit further away at that stage, it was a big drive for my grandparents to drive me to rugby. So I was only able to get there 2 times a week. And all the guys were lifting weights and stuff like that, and I didn't have that facility. So I reckon if I had that kind of facility to work in, I would have been a better rugby player, and I maybe wouldn't have took this route. But things like if I knew the knowledge about rugby as I do now as a personal trainer, I probably would have been a far better rugby player. But I think this is my call, and this is where I need to be. And I'm glad that the rugby is a byproduct of what I am now.
Do you feel kind of lucky as well, if you like, that you've come along at a time where Bellator is really looking to develop a European series and give people who are successful from this area opportunities in America? I know that you like the travel around the world, you ATT in America and obviously Thailand you travel to, I've read about. Do you feel privileged that you're in the right place at the right time with them expanding this at the moment? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I'm really happy to be associated with a massive company. They treat you so well, and they pay you well, and they look after you. And I would say I was lucky that this has happened. I've done all the right things in the step up to it, so that obviously would provide me the platform. And me approaching my manager and stuff like that was a massive thing too. But yeah, I think this is where I need to be at the moment, and this is where I want to be right now.
Final one from me. Thanks, guys, for keeping me on. Obviously, Patricio's the champion. Patricio Pitbull's the champion at the moment. Have you already envisaged yourself fighting someone like him, maybe in 6 fights' time or 7 fights' time? Have you already envisaged that, Chris?
Yes, when I heard that Peter Queally had broken his hand in the training, I heard that his brother was left without an opponent or whatever. I'm sure that I would just have hopped in there and then. I'm just so fortunate that I believe in myself so much that I can then just jump in and fight anyone at any given time.
All right, we'll take a few more questions here. Jake?
Hi, Chris, mate. Jake Jones here. And I like to see you repping the Violent Money merchandise. I think they're doing fantastic things, man.
They're doing great things.
Indeed, mate. So mentioned a few times that if you win against Furtado, you're going to go 7-0. Now, his last fight was against Kiefer, who is one of the most marketable people in for Bellator and one of Bellator's biggest prospects. So With a win over Furtado, where do you see this putting you in the lightweight division? And well, you just mentioned there with a fight with Patricki. Is that something that you would kind of ask for?
Yeah, well, it all depends what my manager has planned for me too. You know, the thing with the fighter mentality is you jump in and you do whatever you need to do to fight, and that's my job. So between my manager and my coaches, they'll come to a decision whether I fight somebody or not. You know, it's kind of out of my hands, and I feel that's why I've got the best manager and I've got the best coaches in the world, because they have my best interests at heart. So all I need to do is turn up and sign the dotted line, and that's all I need to do.
So did you take anything from Furtado's matchup with Keith? Or is there anything you thought in the fight that you can expose?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I don't feel Kiefer did very well in that fight, and I actually thought he lost that fight, but everybody's got their own opinion on fights. My forward pressure and the will to win is going to be overwhelming for Furtado.
Luis?
Hi, you have a 100% finish ratio as a pro. Do you feel some extra pressure for moving to 7-0 and keep the expectation?
Not really, no. If I just go out there and do my thing, obviously everybody wants to not lose. It's a big thing for me losing, and I obviously don't want to lose ever again in my whole career. But how many people go through MMA without actually having a loss in their career? So one day the day might come, but not today, not tomorrow, and not on Thursday the 1st. I just need to concentrate on myself, push forward, and keep moving forward.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate the time, and good luck the rest of the week.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Next up, we have Ilias Bulaid. I'm sorry for the confusion. We will next be joined by Denise Kielholtz. All right, we are now being joined by Denise Kielholtz. We're going to field a few questions once again from within the room, and then we're going to open it up to the media.
Denise, you were just talking about life in lockdown a moment ago, but we're back into a fight week now. Just tell us how excited you are to be here in Milan.
Well, I just tell you right now that this is such a crazy time, and how you see how the COVID affects so many people in so many negative way. And yeah, I feel blessed that I'm now here and I'm able to fight on this fight card and in beautiful Milan, be back here. So yeah, I feel just blessed. I'm just happy to be back and happy that even in this critical time that we can fight and we be able to do our work. So yeah, feeling blessed.
Before the extended break, you built up a lot of momentum in Bellator, 3 wins in the space of 8 months. How have you used that break to sort of ensure that you carry on that momentum now that we're back?
Well, the 7 months of COVID, I just keep training. So even the gyms are closed, I just be creative and train outside. And I'm lucky that my husband, Hesti Gerges, is also a fighter. So we both know what to do, you know. So we just trained a little bit different, but we trained. And that's why also when COVID was done, when the gyms are open again, I see that my condition was not that far back. So yeah, in COVID time, we make the best of it and we train a lot of outside. And yes, I'm just blessed that also Hesti has the same mentality that we don't sit still. So COVID makes us a lot of stronger, not only physical, but also mental, because that time I used a lot to focus on my mental part and be stronger in that. So yeah, that's the part that I just see the positive thing about the COVID time. And that's why I feel also now really, really good.
And your opponent on Thursday night is Kate Jackson, who challenged for the title last time she fought. And did you watch that fight? And if so, what did you learn about her?
Yes, I saw that fight, and it was a really, really good fight. And she was a good opponent, but I see also some weaknesses. And I think that her weakness is going to be my strength. So yeah, talking about that fight was a really good fight, but I expect now another version of Kate Jackson, and I will expect the best version of Kate Jackson. So yeah, this is going to be a different fight, different opponent, because I am not like Ilias Bulaid, but we will see. And for sure, I will do my best to make the win for me.
Santiago?
Good afternoon from Amsterdam. How are you doing, Denise?
Good. Amsterdam.
You are on a stunning 3-fight winning streak with 3 different finishes. How good are you feeling since working with Bob Schreiber?
Really, really good. He makes a special flame in me, and I have a special connection with him because everything that he say, I believe, and I believe that he's gonna make a champion of me. And my straightness, he brings that up, you know, and I don't even realize by myself that I can do that. So sometimes if I win a fight, I'm just like surprised by myself because I think, oh, can I really do that? And that is what really Bob is bringing the best out of me. So yeah, Bob, he's incredible. And I really believe that he's gonna make an MMA champion out of me.
I love Bob's energy. Yeah, I love to hear from him on Thursday. So last year we spoke to each other in London, and back then you told me that you wanted Bellator to create a strawweight division because you can easily make that weight. Is that still on your mind?
Yes, I'm still, my weight has never been a problem. Right now, Bob also told me that I cannot be that light anymore because in the flyweight division is not really good to be that light. So we work a lot on also about my power. So that's why I'm now just exactly on the flyweight category. I'm right now 75 kilograms, and I'm just right on weight. I don't have to lose weight. I don't have to cut weight. But you never know, maybe in the future, because now it's really easy to lose weight and I don't even make a really big effort to get on this weight. So maybe in the future, you never know, strawweight division. You never know. I just let the universe just decide for me what's best for me. But right now, I'm focusing on the flyweight belt.
And then last thing from me, Denise, what would it mean for you if Bellator would come to Amsterdam next year?
That will be so amazing if Bellator comes to Amsterdam. Just that's like a big dream, you know. And I know that a lot of people in Holland, because now we have a lot of Dutch fighters, and I know that a lot of people in Holland now waiting for Bellator to come to Amsterdam or come to Holland. And yeah, for me, it's just like a dream come true. So I really hope that now in this difficult time, we have to wait a little bit later. But I hope next year that Bellator for sure comes to Amsterdam, because I know the people want it. I know the crowd love to see it. And I know that Bellator gonna love Amsterdam, because there's no other place like Amsterdam.
Steve?
Denise, thank you for the time as always. You're such a pleasant, outgoing, upbeat fighter, and it's so easy to get behind you in fighting. Does it bother you when opponents then are disrespectful and say things like, well, she's just not as good on the ground as I am, even though you finished your last 2 fights with submissions?
You know, I believe that if opponents just breaking someone else off or just want to, you know, say something, that's something about their confidence. And I see it as somebody say something about me, about my fighting style, or they have something to say. You know, I see in a negative way. It's something that's it's all about confidence, you know. And if you have confidence enough, you don't like bringing your opponent down. And I believe that if they talk more, it's going to be more straight for me. So yeah, we will see. I don't care what my opponents will say. It's all about what cares in the ring or in the cage. And that's something that I'm going to show.
Given that Kate Jackson fought for the flyweight title her last time out, do you feel that a win over her would put you in that position to be fighting for the title?
For sure. You know, she's definitely my biggest challenge for now, and I see that my win from her was going to be a next or even a next step closer to a title fight. And you know, I see this also as a title fight. I see every fight as a title fight, because every fight camp is for me. I give my best and I do my best in everything I do. And every fight camp, I want to be stronger and more. I have more determination to be a complete MMA fighter. And that's also what you can see in my fights, that I'm not just a kickboxer that goes to MMA. I can do both. And right now, at this moment, I feel so strong, also on the ground, also on my feet, on every flag. And that is what we're going to see this Thursday.
All right. We look forward to seeing it. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Luis?
Hi. How close do you feel are from a title shot? You are 5-1 in Bellator. What are you planning to do in the future, thinking on a victory this Bellator 247?
First I just focus on this fight, and after this fight, for sure, it all depends on Bellator. If they want to see me be the next challenger for the title, I'm in it. And if there's going to be another opponent who they think they can challenge me, I'm also in it. So it just depends on Bellator. And now for me right now, I'm just focused on this fight and to let show the best of me. And that all depends on the best of me, you know. And if Bellator after this fight see, okay, she's gonna fight for the title, let's go. And for me, it doesn't matter. I see every fight as a title fight. Every fight, I just want to show my best, you know. And even if the win is not for a title or just for the win, for me, every win is a title fight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a couple more here. Jake?
Hi, Denise. Jake Jones here.
Hi.
It's been mentioned a bit. Thank it's been mentioned a bit that with a win here, you go 6-1 in Bellator, which to me is very deserving of a shot. Your opponent has had last fought for the title. So let's say the title is next. Where would you like that? Would you like it as part of the European Series, say in Amsterdam, if they can make that happen? Or would you take the next card that you can get on?
Yeah, for me, is of course the best dream is to fight for the title in my hometown. So Amsterdam would be like the dream is then more complete. So yeah, I hope maybe we will see that that it comes to Amsterdam. But if it is in Amsterdam or somewhere else, you know, the title fight for me is the ultimate goal for my ultimate fighting career. You know, I've been the kickboxing champion for years, and I have also the flyweight kickboxing belt for Bellator. So my ultimate goal is to be a champion in both categories. So also in kickboxing and also in MMA. And that 2 titles is just the prime of my whole fighting career. So if that's going to be in Amsterdam or somewhere else, for me, it doesn't matter. It's going to be more motivation for me if it is in Amsterdam. But if I just look at those titles and see my blue belt and visualizing that the red belt is hanging next to that, then the destination doesn't matter. That's just my ultimate goal, whatever it is.
Absolutely, I love that. So just one about your opponent. I know you said this is probably going to be your toughest fight yet. How do you see the fight playing out with Kate?
I think it's going to be a really good fight. I think that Kate, she's a really good opponent, but like I said, she has some mistakes that she makes, and I see it in every fight that she makes the same mistake. And that mistake is something that going to be my advantage. So, yeah. And even if she want to go with me on the ground or stand up, in both sides, I feel really strong and I feel really powerful, and I work a lot. I really work a lot, and I work a lot on myself. I work a lot on my skills. So every fight, you're going to see another Miss Dynamite. So with which game plan she already have. This fight is going to be a different fight from my last fight, and I want to show the world that I'm here and I'm here to stay, and I'm here to be the next champion.
That's great. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Gareth?
Yes. Hi, Denise. How are you doing?
Hi. I'm fine. Thank you.
Good. As you said, you know, it'd be nice to know, obviously, say, Hesdy, your husband is obviously a kickboxer as well and a fighter. Can you pinpoint for us the moment where, were you in a conversation one day, or were you over dinner? Were you having a walk? Was it a moment in the gym when you suddenly said, you know what, I'm going to MMA now? Can you remember that moment?
Yes, it was like because my first love was judo. I am a Dutch judo champion in the beginning of my when I was 16, 15 years old. But then I start with kickboxing, and I really fell in love with that. And, you know, being the kickboxing champion for years, and also Bellator, the biggest organization of the world, and being also the champion 2 times in Bellator, that was something that, who's going to be next? You know, it's not something that I already fought every girl in my division in kickboxing. And then Bellator comes to ask me if I can also do an MMA fight one time, if I can try that. And then I just walked with Hesdy, and we have the same manager, Raymond Daalder, and he called me and he say, you know, your next fight for Bellator, you know, now you defend your world title and you won it again, but how about a next MMA fight? And then I thought, okay, yes, that's that little flame, you know, that's going to burn again. And I thought, yeah, let's do that. So Hesdy and we decide both. He also says right away, yeah, you have to do that. And now I'm sitting here and more fights away. And every time and every day, I just fell more and more in love with the whole sport MMA.
So in a way, it's almost like you've described an evolution. When they made that proposal to you, you thought, yeah, it's the next stage of me evolving as a martial artist. So it is really just a love of evolution, perhaps, in you, yeah?
Yes, it is. It is. Because first, I think that I'm a person that always wanted something to have a goal for. And when I was younger, that was judo. Then I a little bit lost my goal. And then I started with kickboxing. And I want to be a kickboxing champion in every organization I did. And now my next goal is MMA. So I'm a person that always want to have some like a goal, some like an ultimate thing that looks far away, but it's really close if you work hard for it. And that's also something that I like, and I also see it in all my fighting career years, that I always have to do something that is like a goal. And now this MMA is really like my next goal.
The last one from me. Obviously, the Vita Ortega fight is a while ago now, and you were still evolving at the time. Is there any truth? My thinking is this: Kate Jackson's style is a very good test of where you've come to at this point in terms of your game, and really does move you forward towards a title shot. Am I fair in saying that?
Yes, for sure. Yes, it is. That's why I see every fight as a title fight. And like this fight, I know this fight is going to be the big challenge for me, from how do I stand in MMA, and Kate Jackson, she's the perfect opponent for me to show that to everyone. And also the fight against Vida, that was a really good fight. But if I have to be honest, that time I don't really let go my kickboxing part. So I still had my head coach as a kickboxer, and I still train a lot of kickboxing. I don't do really like typical strategy on the ground. I just do something. And that's also what you can see in that fight, that I was not really like prepared for everything. And that fight, it really, really hurt when I lost that fight. But after that fight, I just make a plan from, okay, if I train like this, I'm not going to be a champion, because kickboxing is just something that you cannot do in the cage, how good you are also. But if I let that thoughts go of kickboxing, then I really saw myself growing as an MMA fighter. And that's when I took the plan. Okay, I really need a head coach in MMA. And I really let go all the kickboxing strategy, stand up, everything about kickboxing. I have to lose that. And that's why I took my new head coach, Bob Schreiber, and he is just the perfect trainer that brings out the best of me as an MMA fighter. So the Vida fight, I see it as something that really hurts, but I see it also something as the turning point when I really, really, really want to be an MMA fighter and let go the kickboxing fighter that's in me. So I see it as something that I learn a lot from.
Thank you for the very, very full answer, Denise. That was brilliant.
Thank you. Sorry.
All right. Thank you very much for the time, Denise. Good luck this week.
Thank you. Bye.
Paul Daley joining us in about 10 minutes, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
We will be joined by Paul Daley in just a moment here.
I think most people through this COVID pandemic have appreciated a lot more. As far as training is concerned, you know, I own my own gym, Spirit Dojo Legacy. I got the keys. I've been in there pretty much since we've been allowed to, training, staying active. But, you know, it's also given me a lot of time to rest, which I think my body needed. You know, I've been doing this for a while now. And, yeah, having prepared for the fight and then had it cancelled, I was in, you know, fight shape and already been for a camp, so it was good to rest for a little bit.
We've also got a question in from Stuart at Grassroots Boxing in London. He's just asked whether you still want that rematch with MVP at some point in the future.
I've had this question again earlier on today, and for me, you know, like I've said, I want to compete three more times under this current contract. One of them being this fight that I've got coming up, and then there are a few fights that make sense. One of them being a title fight. You know, Douglas Lima going up. You know, the belt's there. I know Scott Coker said that Lorenzo Larkin is the number one contender, which I knocked him out. And I think a much bigger fight, if you were to put a fight together and were to have an audience or even just have people interested, would probably be a vacant, you know, title or an interim title with me and MVP. It's not that I want the rematch because, like I said, I feel like I've won it. But if I'm going to compete against anyone for the belt, you know, it's a fight that makes sense.
And looking at your opponent this week, Derek Anderson, you know, you've obviously fought some of the biggest names in the Bellator welterweight division. How do you think he compares to some of those fighters, and where does he rank in your mind?
I don't rank him very highly, you know, without trying to be arrogant. I said this about our common opponent, Said Awad. You had more experience than him. Also coming up from 155, I just think, you know, even though he's 6 foot and he's fought 170 before, fighting at 170 against me is probably not the best choice. I'm not taking him lightly, but I don't see him lasting very long. I'll probably knock him out early on, either round 1 or 2.
Gareth?
Yeah, hi, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm good, Gareth. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I want to take you on a little history lesson here. It's 10 years since you fought and beat Jorge Masvidal. Do you remember that 10 years ago? It's pretty much 10 years to the week. Yeah,
I do. It was obviously it wasn't the name that he is now, but I remember the fight because he took 20% because I was 0.2 over. So I remember him for that. You know, the purses weren't that big back then, and he took my money, so I wasn't happy with him, and you know, went on to beat him. But you know, it's good to see him. I know you probably won't just compare ourselves at this stage, but it's good to see him doing well because he is a veteran like myself, and you know, he's worked hard at it, and that he's getting the credit that he deserves for having put in the work in and come up really right from the bottom, you know, fighting in back gardens.
And soon after, of course, you know, there was Nick Diaz, Tyron Woodley, all the way up to Rudy Bears, your first Bellator fight. But the last 5 years has been the most settled of your career, hasn't it, with Bellator?
Yeah, it's took me a while to find a home, somewhere that I've been happy with, and somewhere where I feel like I can be active and have good fights against decent opponents. And Bellator is the place, you know, they're pumping out great shows, producing a lot of talent, and bringing in already established talent. So I'm happy for the past 5 years that Bellator provided me with.
85 fights in your career. You mentioned kickboxing and mixed martial arts, of course. You mentioned 3 fights there. Is that you looking towards the end or not?
Well, it's 3 fights left on my Bellator contract. You know, I don't really want to announce a retirement or anything, but as far as this contract, that will be the end of it. Whether Bellator chooses to make me a new offer, who knows? But definitely for what I am committed to, it will be the end of that commitment after these 3 fights.
So it's not a retirement you're talking about in 3 fights then at all? Nothing to do.
I wouldn't call it a retirement. I would call it, just 3 more fights left on this contract.
Yeah. And very noticeable how appreciative you are that there are events being put on during this kind of pandemic crisis. So, very noticeable you were talking about that at the beginning of this interview. You have taken it very seriously by the sound of it. Yeah, definitely. You know, I feel very fortunate that I'm able to firstly go out and do a sport that I love. That's my job, and I'm able to earn money. You know, there's people, there's you know, big retail businesses closing down. There's people in really difficult situations, unable to pay their bills and going through struggle really. And I'm able to earn, even at the best of times, you know, I'm able to earn a very substantial wage from fighting here at Bellator. And I'm fortunate, you know, I'm extremely grateful to Scott and Mike and the guys for allowing me to do this, and you know, paying me extremely well for doing what I love. Well, you look great, Paul, and you sound great, and these are great words. Thank you very much. Nice one. Thanks, Gareth.
Steve?
All right, Paul, thank you for the time as always. And without dwelling on it too much, we both know this fight was scheduled to happen 4 years ago. I talked to you about it then. So what happened after the weigh-in?
After the weigh-ins last time, you did? Oh, sure, sorry. But basically what happened was I started to get extreme cramps, and was just, you know, I just wasn't in a fit state to fight, basically. Especially with the new rules with the IV rehydration, I wouldn't have been in a fit state to fight.
Well, now that you've had the chance to revisit this fight, how are you feeling 4 years on? How much has it changed since then? Not too much. Like I say, Derek's a tough guy, and he's coming in, you know, at kind of late notice. He's a good all-rounder. I respect him as a fighter as I did when the fight was made all those years ago. I know his game. I know what he normally does. Whether he does it against me, we'll see on Thursday. But I think as soon as I touch him, and I will, that will be the end of it. I think I'll take him out pretty early. You know, it's the one thing that I thought about was his reach, but it's not so. You know, in fact, I think about slightly. His is 74, mine is 76. So I think I've got a slightly longer reach. And then the second thing was the height. But I bumped into him down at breakfast, and I know it's listed as him being 6'1", but he didn't seem 6'1" to me. He seemed about 5'11", so I think he's just trying to pump himself up a little bit there. But, you know, when I've been in there with beasts like Douglas Lima, I always come back to that guy because I really had to, you know, dig down and find myself in that fight. I don't fear anybody else in this division. You know, I've been hit by the biggest, baddest, one of the best pound-for-pound guys. I got back up off the canvas and carried on pushing forward for 3 rounds, and in the end forced him into a takedown. So I don't fear anybody in this division, especially a 155er coming up. I think I'm going to take him out. I'm going to take him out early, and I'm going to make it look pretty easy. Well, speaking of him being normally a 155er, he said earlier on the call that he actually thinks that perhaps he is too big to be at 155 with his height. And obviously you don't think that's really the case, but what do you think of
No. Don't get me wrong. He's a big guy, and maybe he is in height too big to be at 155. But I'm not referring to just his physical size. I'm on about being physical. I've fought my whole career at 170 pounds. He's been fighting these small guys, be it that he's the bigger guy against these small guys. I've fought the very best at 170 pounds and felt the strength throughout my whole career, as of those who have those 33 that have laid on the canvas and been knocked out, felt my strength at the weight. And I think that is the telling. And that's what I said against Said Awad. Said Awad had competed at 170 pounds, but most of his career was at 155. And I said that would be the difference, that when I touch him, and I will touch him, he's going to go to sleep. Whether he feels the strength in the clinch, where he feels the strength in my punches, or wherever it be, when he feels it, he's going to know he's in a new weight class.
All right, Paul, massive respect to you, and have a great performance on Thursday.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll take one or two more questions here. Luis?
This is your 62-second fight. You're a welterweight veteran. Which goals do you have in mind hitting this main event?
With regards to the main event, it's just to get out there healthy, finish the fight as quickly as possible. With regard to looking forward in my career, it's just to enjoy what I'm doing and just appreciate the fact that I'm able to do what I do. Just get the fight done and look forward to what Bellator will line up in the future.
With the champion fighting against Mousasi, how close do you feel to a title shot in this very deep Bellator welter division? Or who do you want next, thinking on a victory this Bellator 247?
There's not really a fight that I want next. I said earlier on that I think I'm deserving of a title shot based on the fact that Scott Coker says that Lorenzo Larkin is next, or Lorenzo Larkin is next. And I dispatched him with ease and would do it again with ease. I know he's got the title shot of beating Koreshkov, but I was initially supposed to face Koreshkov on this card, and I'd signed up to it, and I would have beat him also. So I think whoever it is, it should be for that interim title or for that vacant title. And you can leave the contract blank. Just put the title in there, put any name you want, and I'm game to go. I don't have any particular opponent.
All right. Thank you very much, Paul. Good luck the rest of the week.
Cheers.
All right. Thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to having you join us on Thursday for Bellator's debut on CBS Sports Network.